let's get started.
Let's get started.
Hi.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Benny. Welcome to Wholehearted Living.
Oh, we got to do this again. That was horrible.
I know. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's start all over. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Valerie.
Okay.
This never comes out right.
Here we go.
It doesn't matter.
Here we go. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Wholehearted Living with Valerie
and Benny.
Yes.
We did it. This is the podcast where we are siblings and one of us comes with a subject matter that hopefully is going to lead toward wholehearted living. Mm-hmm. And the other person is surprised by the topic.
Right.
And then we just chew the fat.
Yes.
Iggy, thank you so much for being here, being our sound dude.
Hello.
Driving all the way over.
Yeah.
You didn't have to
For the
just
first
walk
time.
down the
For
stairs.
the first time, Iggy is having to commute to this job. But it's well worth it when
It's
he
like
gets
the
his
Olympics.
check. Yes.
He does.
When he gets his check at the end of the month. It's so worth it. Anywho, thank you, Iggy. All right. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed our last podcast. This is not a guest podcast, but this is your topic. So do I get to share what I want to share?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you know, when we just chew the fat.
Yeah, chew the fat. What's going on?
So we are empty nesters now,
I
like we just talked
know.
about. So that is 29 years with having a kid living with us.
I know.
All the time. And so to all of a sudden be empty nesters, it's different.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
it is actually fun.
Right.
Have you ever been an empty nester?
Well, when Kylie lived in Tokyo and then
Oh,
when
right.
she was on the cruise. So
Right.
there was like a year and a half for a short period. And then there was, what was she gone? 9 months, 10 months, something like that.
Something like that. Okay.
So,
Yeah. So it is, you know, mixed feelings because
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden we're in a totally different etapa. ¿Cómo se dice etapa? Like
Situation?
stage
Yeah.
situation.
Uh-huh.
And so we're in this totally new thing. And so we moved them out on Saturday, right, Iggy?
Yep.
On Saturday we moved out. We had Saturday night free.
yeah.
Like that was our first night, but I'm not going to say it was a first night because we were setting up the room because we didn't wasted no time.
Yeah.
Body
They're
was like,
gone.
"Oh,
Let's do this."
And we did a bunch
Yeah.
of work inside there and so got it ready because it's really going to become my office and where I'll do the coaching and therapy stuff. So it's really kind of cool. Very next day, our friend comes and stays the night for 2 nights.
Oh, God.
And so
Seriously? Oh, how funny.
so she takes the room. That night, Iggy and Trinity came over and
Yeah.
hung out for an hour. So
I know. And Patty was just telling me that when you went out with Peter and his friends, your friends last night, and then she's like, "Oh, I have the house just to myself. I haven't had this house to myself in so long." And then Iggy and Trinity pop in.
So Iggy, are you having problems with being alone with my daughter?
Surviving so far.
But anyway, yeah. So we've really only been, and did Wednesday night something happen too? Why do I feel like we weren't?
Home alone on Wednesday night.
So we've had Saturday night and Wednesday night.
Okay.
Alone.
There's many nights. There'll be many more.
Yeah. So we're thinking that's the case. So
Yeah.
we'll have more. But then again, we're doing a podcast right now.
Right.
So maybe one day in the
I
future.
know. It is really nice. It's super nice. I remember at first feeling very, very like, wow, this is weird.
Yeah.
And a little sad because I thought, wow, since Peter and I have been married, we have
Yeah.
never been alone
Yeah.
because I was a built-in family. And so when Kylie moved out, you know, in those periods of time, I was like, wow, this is weird. It's just us. We have no one to answer to in terms of, where are you? Are you home? You know, that kind of stuff. And so
Well, you
it was-
guys still might be better parents than us because we didn't care when they were here and when they weren't. So
no, I mean them asking me when we're home.
Oh, I
yeah.
see.
There was always like, oh, I just got home. Where are you guys? And like, oh, we're out to dinner, you know, or whatever. Like, oh, when are you going to be home? It's like, oh, like, so that kind of stuff,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. But
you guys never did that to us, Iggy. Do you not love us? I'm kidding.
But
no.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It really was. And it wasn't even so much about just being at home alone. It was just the fact that like we could get up and walk out and not wonder, is Kylie going to be here for the dog, or should we just did it with ourselves, and then knew we came home to an empty house. It was just so.
Well, that is the one thing that's so I guess different, is that all of a sudden it's like when we leave, the house looks the way it looked when we left. You know, it's like nothing changed. And nothing's going on, and then I wake up early in the morning, and so all of it, there's a room empty, and it's like, oh, I can actually go in there and work if I wanted to, instead of coming down here, and so that kind of stuff is, it's different. It's just different. I'm not sure. I mean, yes, I absolutely like it. I totally love being alone. I mean, Patty and I like hanging out, so I like that we can do whatever, But yeah, it's different. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So that's a huge thing. And then you just mentioned something that I thought was fun. But you know, Peter is the only person I knew from high school. So your husband, for those listeners that don't know, but Peter and I grew up from elementary, junior high, and high school, and always remained friends. Probably disconnected somewhat in high school because I went sport route. He went his singing route.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about last night. But it was funny because about 2 or 3 months ago, we got together with a couple guys that you know, we grew up with. And then another guy joined us last night, and it was just super fun. Yeah. It just, I don't know, there's something different about it now. I think if I would have done the same thing 10 years ago, you know, I'm a different person now. I'm not sure how. I mean, I would have enjoyed it just because I would have enjoyed it. But I wonder if I would have. I honestly thought about this, that would I have put up? Would I have been different? You know, because of my background, and it's always just weird, like when you're a missionary and you're a pastor and people ask questions and all these things often, or at least I feel like they're going to ask questions, or they act different because you are that. And so it's just fun when people just are normal. Yeah. And I'm normal. Yeah. And I don't have to worry about what I say or do, because sometimes that's another thing.
Yeah, you have to watch what you say.
Yeah, because if I act like a certain way, then it's like, ooh, you're a bastard. Why did you say that? And
no, Peter came home and said it was really, I was half asleep when he walked in, but, you know, so I didn't ask a lot of questions, but he just said, yeah, it was really fun. Yeah. A lot of laugh. Yeah.
A lot of laughter. Yeah. Yeah. Patty did ask questions too. This is what she said. She said, and I said, yeah. We just went back and forth.
I was just like barely looking at him. Like, I never want to get into too much conversation when I'm already like half asleep, just because I don't want to be wide awake. Yeah. But I'm like, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. We laughed so hard. And then he told me a couple stories, and I'm just like, you know, but I didn't engage on a lot. I think I asked him more questions this morning about it, but.
Well, there was a story that I remembered, and I thought one of the guys was part of it last time we were together. And then I realized it was Marco who showed up this time. And it was a time when me and these twins that owned a 5.0 liter Mustang were in a car, and when his car, and he started racing. Yeah, the O'Briens. And we were racing Marco because he was borrowing his aunt's. Yeah, it was his aunt's Supra, right? Or yeah. In those days, the Supra was like the cool car. It was fast. And so they were racing on this street, and then somebody cut it in front of Marco. Oh gosh. And he slams on the brakes, and it's so much so that like smoke came over the car. You could not see the car. Wow. That's how fast he was going. That's how much he slammed on the brakes.
That's just silliness. Why are they doing that?
We were 18. Why do you do anything? Or 17 or something, or maybe even 16. Wow. But but I remember me, Casey, and Sean, I just remember driving by him with our face. If you were looking at YouTube, we're like, oh, God. Because not only we were wondering, honestly, this is really sad. I really wasn't worried about their lives. I was worried about what would happen to Marco if he crashed his aunt's car. Oh, my God. Because I knew his dad, and I knew his life, and it would have been bad. Wow. It would have been really,
some
really
of the silly things you do when you think that you're just... You know, what?
Invincible.
Yeah, immortal or whatever. Yeah,
invincible.
Yeah. Because I think about when I was with my ex, and he would drive me home, and you know the corner of Casimir and 180 or 166.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a big intersection. so to speak, in that little area.
Yeah.
He would do donuts right there.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
And I would just remember going, oh my God, this is so fun. Oh my God, this is so fun. If anybody tried to do a donut with me in the car right now, I would flip out,
Yeah.
you know? But the funny thing is we thought we were hidden, and Mom could see through the kitchen, and she could see that intersection and going, what did you think you were doing?
Well, we actually talked about Casimir, and Peter forgot this because the Casimir, if you go up Casimir, you get to the Rhodium. And me, Peter, and Roger Morris used to jump the fence and go to the Rhodium where they did the swap meet.
Yeah.
And we would go to this one guy, and he sold munchie cheese. I don't even remember what they were. And he goes, munchie cheese, munchie cheese, munchie cheese, munchie cheese. And then we would say, how much for the? And he would tell us how much, and then we would just try and get him
Barter.
to go down. Yeah, barter. keep, and then we never buy. We had no intention of buying.
Oh my God! You just want
And
to
so
hear
then
him?
we went the next day, and he's going munchie cheese, munchie cheese, munchie cheese. He goes, and we said, how much? And he goes, yesterday, $1. Today, I kick you out personally. So
That's funny.
yeah, we walked
Oh
away.
my gosh.
So that was
That's
the kind of
very
laughs
fun.
you had. It's better with 2 margaritas.
But you know what's funny is that you guys just got together last night. So last Saturday night, a couple weeks ago, a couple of my high school friends messaged me and said they bought tickets to go see Kylie's show. And so, long story short,
But they can still see and stuff. I mean, that's old.
That's hilarious.
I thought it was pretty funny.
No, they bought tickets to see Kylie's show, and so she messaged me and said, "Oh my God, we're going to go on Saturday night." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet, thank you." And then you should go with us, they said, and I said, "Oh, well, I'm already going several times." And anyway, a few days later, I'm like, well, let me just see if there's any tickets. Where are you guys sitting? She gave me the seat numbers. And so I looked at the seats. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's one seat left in that row right next to them. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I got tickets. So it was me and Sandra, Evelia, Tony, Alfonso. Do you remember? She used to live down the street from the Hartleys. Anyway, her name was Antoinette or Tony Alfonso. No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
oh, yeah.
her.
Well, I remember
And then-
Alfonso, the name Alfonso.
and Jill
yeah.
Yamamotoya.
Yeah, and I remember
Yeah,
Jill.
yeah.
Of course I remember Jill.
So the 4 of us went, and so it was a lot of fun. Just like we,
if I didn't know those people, it would sound like you were making up names.
I know,
It would totally sound like you
Yeah.
were making them up. But, yeah.
but no, it was fun. So it was high school friends, and it was funny because I introduced them to a couple people that night of the show, and they were like, "Oh my God, you guys were high school friends and you're still together?" And I mean, still get together. I'm like, well, Jill and I went to kindergarten together.
That's
Is that
crazy.
insane? So yeah.
Well, it's weird
So it was
that
fun.
Peter and I, of that group, Peter and I knew each other the longest, and then it's funny because you guys are married.
married, yeah, I know.
So it's like it just
Yeah.
kept going.
Yeah.
But I didn't name my people, but so it was Tom Button, Ted Thomas,
And
Peter Grogan,
Mark Avalar.
and well, that's the funny thing. I was just gonna say this. His name is Mark Avalar. I've called him Marco my entire life. So he comes up, we're saying Marco, 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 and then all of a sudden he says he has a son named Marco. And I was like, oh my gosh, you named him after yourself. And he goes, we were like, is he junior or what? And he goes, my name is Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say,
And
I don't know if I've ever
said-
called him Marco. Oh, did you? Okay.
Always. And I was
Oh.
like, and I go, your name's not Marco? He's like, nope. And I was like, I could not even believe it. He goes, it's
funny.
Mark Avalar. I was like, I had no idea. I
Oh my
always called you
gosh.
Mark. I mean, maybe I did, but it didn't matter.
That's funny.
Roger Morris was always, I don't know, we used to call him Buck. Why
Uh-huh.
did we call him Buck?
Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers.
Oh, my
There it
goodness.
is. So we
Okay.
called him Buck. So I called him Buck forever.
That's
and
funny.
so honestly, it was like I couldn't imagine not calling him that. There was a guy named Ryan Kanhaluau,
Oh, yeah.
and we called him Coco.
Yes, I
I
remember
called
Ryan.
him Coco
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And then I remember somewhere in the 20s calling him, Coco. And it was just weird because you do things when you're a kid and to me, that's who they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'll never forget going to the dentist one time and Dad was there. And it turns out the dentist went to school with Dad.
And he called him Ernest.
He called him Ernie.
That's funny.
The whole time he was saying, Ernie, so what's going on, Ernie? And I was like, what in the world is...
Why
'cause
is he calling him that?
yeah, for those of he goes by Ray.
Yeah.
His name is Ernest Ray, but I've never heard him called
Yeah,
Ernie ever.
yeah.
So it was really bizarre because he was like, the guy, so Ernie. It was just really
That
funny.
is funny.
Yeah.
Very funny.
So there you go.
Well, do you want to
go
go into the
subject?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is going to I'm going to segue into it talking about my summer real quick because we just got off summer break. We just started back to school. Well, yesterday was the first day with students. And so a lot of people over the last week who I've connected with have been asking, how was your summer? And, blah, blah, blah. Well, we didn't do a lot this summer. We had anticipated maybe going to Palm Springs for a weekend getaway. I think we even talked about Santa Barbara, maybe Vegas, and just like getting like little weekend trips. We never did any of it. And I honestly think it was because of timing, because July, it seemed like there was always kind of something going on. And then Kylie's shows started in August and we wanted to be here for every weekend for the shows. And then school starts so early now. We, it used to start in September. Now we're already in school. It's like the third week in August. So all that to say, when I'm talking to people about it, kind of had a really, really simple vacation. And I loved it. I loved being available for Nicole to do babysitting, just take them to the park, to the beach, whatever. If Kylie was around, we would randomly run and grab a coffee or something. It was just a really chill summer, and I really, really liked it. But as we're getting back into the school year, so many people that I have talked to are just like, we went here, we went there, we did this, we did that. And we had to make sure we wanted to take the kids to see this, we wanted to do this. And now I'm not ready for school. And some of these are teachers. So they're like, I have to prepare my classroom. I was in the school every single day last week, prior to school starting. And they're just like frantic, And so it got me to thinking about simplifying our lives because a lot of times we try to put too much on our plate because we almost feel like we have to keep, just from what I was hearing from certain people, like, I felt like I heard so-and-so took their kids to go see the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, before my kids are too old, I better go take them to Grand Canyon. So we had to schedule that in. But then we wanted to cruise too. And then we wanted to go see, and it was just like, wow, that's a lot, So I was thinking about living wholeheartedly. And do you put too much on your plate? Would it be easier to scale back and simplify your life to make sure you're enjoying all the moments, just not trying to, check off all the boxes, so to speak.
Yeah.
So in that being said, what do you specifically do to maybe simplify your life? Or do you even think that that's a priority or should be to simplify?
I absolutely think so. I don't, sometimes I go in my direction, so feel free to correct me if I go in.
I will feel free. Don't worry.
So one of the things that simplifies my life, and I'm really getting to brass tacks, the basics, is routine. I'm really big on routine. And so, in other words, this is a routine. When I wake up, I get up, there's certain things I have to do. There's a thing that I do every single night. I try to do this every single night. So I have to put my book on my pillow to remember to do it. Otherwise I forget. It's like a way to close out my night. I grab my phone, I put my watch on, and then now I know this sounds, but I literally, I do it out of routine because I'll be honest with you, I'm barely awake. It's 4:30 in the morning. And if I don't do the routine, it's hard for me to get up. So I just get up and I do this. I walk downstairs, I go straight to the coffee. I get coffee. Nowadays we do the coffee overnight, so it's prepared. So I just fill it up. This can sound so ridiculous. I'm still not awake. I go brush my teeth. I take my drugs, and then I medication. Okay, I shouldn't even say medication. I take my allergy pill, and then I put a vitamin. This is so funny. Put a vitamin on my water bottle so that once I eat breakfast, I will remember to take my vitamin because it's on my water bottle. This is so routine.
I totally
this is
get
so
it.
ridiculous.
I do the same.
And then because I have one of those timer toothbrushes. So as I'm doing that, I am filling up the coffee maker for the next time. So I'm just taking the opportunity to do that. So with one hand, I'm brushing my teeth. With the other hand, I'm filling up the coffee maker.
This is super detailed. I hope you don't say it. Then I go poop.
No. So
I know
but
routine.
what I'm trying to do, so what I'm saying is then I finish all that stuff and then I go sit down, I do my emails, I start getting to work. And then that's when it becomes a little bit more because it depends on what work I'm going to do that day. But the point is, for me, routine is huge because it does save me It saves me time because I just do what I do. It saves me energy because I'm not thinking. It literally not thinking. Or if I am thinking, I'm thinking about something that's productive rather than what do I need to do. I am so crazy. I think I've told you this. But because I work on Zoom and I work with clients, and I get concerned about the fact that they might see me in the same shirt week after week because I really don't care.
Yeah.
So what I literally do is I hang a shirt on this little hook, and that's the shirt I wear for the entire week with those clients. So whenever, with all my clients, and then, so all I do is take off the shirt and put on a different shirt, and literally throughout the day, I'm changing it back and forth so it doesn't get all stinky. And even if it starts to stink a hair, it don't matter.
They're
I'm on
Zoom.
And then I wash it on Friday. Get a new shirt, and it's ready. But the point is that all of this is in order to make life more simple.
Right. And I hear you on that because I do the very same thing. I was just telling Peter right before before we started back to school, I said, well, here we go. I'm going to have to get back to my routine because I have a routine during the school year. So I get up. I mean, as soon as I get home from work, I'll start here. I'm not going to go into quite the detail you did, but literally, and I've told my friends, my coworkers this because they've said, I don't know how you do it. How do you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, go work out, come to school dressed like that, and you're not like, because half the people wear just like a sweatshirt and jeans or what have you. You're always like dressed, and you're always, and I go, I prepare everything the night before. So my lunch is made the night before, and it's usually from dinner because I just like make sure there's enough so I can pack my lunch from dinner. But as soon as I walk in the door at 3:30 from work, I go straight in my bedroom. I take out my workout clothes so I don't have to think about it at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I set out work clothes. And then I everything. I mean, I'm talking from whatever I'm wearing to shoes to jewelry. Like it's set out. So I don't have to think about it.
Right.
I'm thinking about it then, but I'm not stressed because I'm
and you're
not
totally
going
awake.
yet.
And you're totally awake.
I'm not
you're
thinking
not,
about it as soon
exactly.
as I get up. But, that being said, making life simpler, I also, like I just said, when I'm cooking dinner, I'm like, okay, this is enough for our family. But then I have to, let me make more chicken thighs or let me make more whatever, because I want there to be extras because that is going to be my lunch for sure the next day, if not the following day.
Patty and I do
that.
the same thing because we'll do the same thing. Even on weekends, especially during school year when Patty's working, we'll try to cook quite a bit on Saturday. Patty is really good about it. Sometimes she'll cook way more food than we need for the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, just so that we're not freaking out.
Peter can remember this. I spent probably 4 hours every Sunday prepping for the week.
And we don't do that.
And
Ours
I did that.
Well, we just order Papa John's ahead of time.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding.
Well, I used to prep everything. I prepped all my protein. I prepped vegetables. And then that way, when I would get home from work,
Your micro.
I didn't even, my macronutrients.
Yeah, did
my macros.
Your macros.
No, but a lot of it too, at one point was because the kids were little and I was just like, I didn't want to have to think about stuff. I was running around from a baseball field to a soccer field to a dance to a cheerleading. You know what I mean? And it was just like, I can come home. I'm not going to have to go through a drive-through, so I don't have to feed them junk food. There's going to be food.
Well, and
prepped.
I think the thing that you just said that's important is I don't want to think about it. But the truth is that you do think about it, or we think about this stuff, but we
it's
think
not
about
on
it
the
when,
moment. When you're, yes.
And in your worst moment at 4:30 in the morning, you're not having to put a lot of thought. And I think it's really hard, or I should say, people say it's really hard for me to get up. I've heard that a gazillion times because when I tell people I get up at 4:30, they're like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? Now, the fact of the matter is I didn't always do that. So I like it now. I had a job once where I woke up at 2:40 in the morning. I didn't have a choice. And so this actually seems like sleeping in. When I sleep in till 6, I, honest to God, feel like I've missed half my day.
Trust me, I understand that. I don't think I've slept until 6, and I think the last time was when we were in Big Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, on the cruise ship. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
the thing is that I really feel like for me, I love to get up in the morning, but if it wasn't for the routine, I don't know that I would, because I would, I don't want to think.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just robotic. I get up, I do my thing. And then by the time I've done all those detailed things that I didn't need to explain, apparently, Iggy, you could probably edit all that out. But by the time I finish doing all that stuff, now I am ready for the day.
Yeah.
Now I am kind of cooking. And so So to answer your original question, what is one thing that you do to manage and make things more simple is that I don't try to be creative regarding.
Well, and you said the right thing when you said you have to think about it at some point, but it's not when you're under pressure. Like I was just explaining, like a few of my friends were like, they have little kids still. I don't have to worry about this anymore.
Right.
But we had to go through a drive-through because I was picking up this one from school, and then this one had to go here, and then this one had to go there. So she goes, we eat out, and it's always a drive-through 95% of the time. And
which is also more expensive.
It is, and it's just, I mean, what kind of nutrition is it to eat out like that all the time? You know, a once in a while thing, or, you know, whatever, you treat for the week, but all the time is just, but, so yeah, it might take a little bit of prep on a Saturday or Sunday to get some staples ready.
Right.
But at the end of the day, then you're going to not have to think about it at 5 p.m. when you're rushed. You're not like, I don't feel like cooking anyway because I'm so tired. I'm just going to go get McDonald's or whatever.
Right.
So it's just thinking things through. I wrote go ahead.
Well, another thing that I was going to say that I do, or I try to do, I can't say I do this every single time, but I also like to do things when I can. I remember reading a book 1,000 years ago that said it was literally about getting things done. And you talk about details, this book got into the details. But one of the things that it said is, if you can do it in less than 3 minutes, don't write a to-do list, just do it. Because you might as well just get it over with. And so there's things that I do.
I like to write that down just because then I like to check it off.
I write it down later so I can check it off. I schedule that.
I know.
I schedule the fact that I'm going to schedule things.
Yes.
Okay. But the thing is, because yes, I really love to do that too. But the point is, sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to make a mental note. I'm going to do that thing later. What people don't recognize is that mental note is occupying space.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to say is make lists to simplify your life. A list saves you because once you get it out of your head, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's just, you know, make sure you change the toilet paper roll on like it's one of those things where once it's out of your head, you don't have to, you just look down at your list and go, okay, now I can tackle these 3 things right now. And then later I'll have to tackle the rest, whatever. I don't know. But lists are huge. I have some in my phone. I even did it during the summertime. Like what was I going to do if I knew it? It was just like, you know, I even put gym on there. A gym is a non-negotiable. I go no matter what.
Right.
But gym is on there just because now I don't have to think about, yes, I have to go to the gym that day. You know, Nicole was like, what are you doing today? Do you want to come over? Do you want to babysit? Can you do this? Do you want to get together? So at least if I looked at my list going, I only have to go to the gym today. So yeah, let's get together. You know, it's just so much easier when you see it in black and white.
Yeah, that's so funny that you said that because I do the same thing in the sense that even if I'm working, whatever particular job I'm doing. So one of the things I do with life coaching is I always send a summary of our session afterwards. And then in therapy, I have to write a progress note. And so if I don't get to it immediately afterwards, which is the case sometimes because I have a client immediately afterwards, or I want to go get a drink of water and I only have 7 minutes. And so I go get a drink or go pee or do whatever. And it's like, I don't have time to do whatever. I literally just quickly write a note, make sure to write that note, make sure to do whatever I have to do. And I use an app because I'm a geek. You know, you use paper, I use this, but I love using an app and it just says, today, this is what you do. Yeah. And then and for me, it's huge. If I make it's so funny if I have a project. So let's just say the project is, so the other day, months ago, I had to replace a pipe downstairs, and Andy my son-in-law came and helped me do this thing. But what I did was I literally in my little app, I can create a project, replace pipe, and said, go to Home Depot, buy the pipe. And then I said, measure how much you need, make sure this, do this. Yeah. And I wrote down every single thing that I had to do. And I did it like 3 weeks before we were going to do it, but now it's out of my head.
Yeah.
And I don't think about it. And then what I do is when I see it come up, because I can tell it when to come up, when I see it when to come up, then I calendar it. I actually put it in my calendar.
Yeah.
Go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
Or do whatever. And all it does is, what's funny is that when I'm saying it right now, it's like, damn, that's a lot of work. But what it does for me is it actually makes it less stressful because I'm not thinking about it anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you mentioned, because one of the things I was going to say is simplifying your life. I put down declutter. Because a lot of times, even if it's not something that truly, truly bothers you, if there's chaos in an area, you don't, once you get rid of that chaos or that clutter, I think you kind of realize, ooh, I feel a little better about this. When I cleaned out my pantry over spring break, I mean, just like, wow, it just made me feel so much better. I didn't have to look for things. I didn't have like old things in there that.
What's that woman's name that does Sparking Joy?
Oh yeah, I Marie Kondo all my clothes. I did that over spring break as well. I always
explain what who she is.
Well, she does the whole. She declutters. She simplifies everything, and whether it's her whole house is like that, right? So what I learned from her many years ago is how to fold and roll and put your clothes in this particular order, and that's how all of my clothes are in my armoire. And then, but it's so freeing when you open your thing up and you pull out a bin and it's just all there. You don't have to like, so decluttering is huge to simplify. You know, if you look in, this is what I did when I went through my closet over the spring break. If I haven't used something in 2 to 3 years, get rid of it. And I know that's a pain in the butt because in 2 or 3 years, I'll probably go, where's that shirt?
Yeah,
where's
exactly.
that dress? But in the meantime, you're always ending up buying something else too. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
But it's like, just get rid of stuff that you're not using. These staple things that you use all the time, of course, keep. Favorite things, keep. But if you haven't used it in 2 or 3 years, you're probably not going to use it again. So decluttering is huge. I was supposed to talk about list and decluttering. One of the things on my list was clean out my bathroom cabinet. We have this huge cabinet with all of our skincare. Peter's stuff is in there. My blow dryers, everything is in there, right? Well, I was supposed to declutter that, and it's on my list. But every week I went, oh, next week, put it on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't Thursday. I don't have time Friday. Okay, put it on Monday. So it just kept moving. And it's still there.
Yeah, you know what mine says? Clean barbecue. I moved that one about.
But at least I don't have it in my head. I was like, I was supposed to declutter it.
I'm not going to forget.
And I will. Yes, exactly. And it will happen, and I will be very happy when it happens. But I just feel like when you have a spot that has a lot of clutter, decluttering just frees your mind. It just does.
Yeah.
Maybe some people it wouldn't, but I think for the most part, I just know when Kylie gets in and really cleans her room, I'm like, how does it feel? She goes, it feels so good.
This is so funny that you brought this up because something happened the other day that made me think of this. I can't remember what it was, but my father-in-law, I'll never forget painting with him one time. So 30 years ago, he and I worked together, and we had to paint something. It doesn't matter. But I just remember we had this little tiny bucket. It was filled with paint. And then you guys know how to paint, so I'm not going to describe this, right? But we went to lunch, and we had to cover it all up so, it doesn't dry out and all that stuff. And then we came back, and mine had paint all around the sides. It was all messy. It was hard to grab. And when you grabbed it, it was like dirty, and his was kind of clean. So I grabbed his, and he goes, no. And I go, and I'm like, what? And he goes, do you think that this happens by accident? He goes, I'm
pretty anal about
how
I
paint it. I make sure that my bucket stays like this so that it doesn't look like that.
Right.
Then I'm like,
yeah.
And what I realized is, and the point that I'm making is that I think a lot of people think they see things that are not cluttered and they're not whatever, and they think, wow, that's amazing that it looks like that. And what they don't recognize is that's intentional.
Yes.
It wasn't by accident.
I mean, I cook and clean as I go. Like, I'm just one of those people. There's not a lot of chaos. Like, I remember Mom came over and cooked for us one time, and Peter goes, I walked in and went, what the heck is happening?
Exactly.
I didn't realize you can get spaghetti upside, underneath the cabinets or whatever.
Yeah,
but it was just, everything was out,
Yeah.
And but when I'm in chaos, I just feel chaotic. So I like it to be more simplified.
We do the exact same thing. We're constantly cleaning and constantly putting things away, even wiping counters, because I feel like it's easier to cook when everything is all there. It's just, but yes, and instead of getting a new thing. We've talked about this before, so I won't get into the weeds, but I think it's called decision fatigue or something like that, where when you have lots of choices, people get overwhelmed. It's overwhelming. And so it's something where if you can reduce the amount of choices that you're trying to make. So this is another stupid thing. I have these shirts. When I worked for Amazon, they gave us free shirts. So I have like a gazillion of them. So they're great like when I'm switching out my shirts for from doing coaching or therapy, I put one of those on. Now, I don't know if I've already told you this. I've told you about my underwear. So, wow. This
I don't
is,
know. I don't know if this is staying on topic with
no,
simplifying your
what
life.
it is,
But
what it's simplifying my life is that what I do is when I wash something, I put it at the bottom and all I do is pick the top one. So when it comes to like these Amazon shirts, I just pick the top one and I use it. And then when I wash it and do it, I put it on the bottom and
so
I
you
just keep rotating.
recycling
And then
it.
the
Yeah.
other quote unquote nicer t-shirts, I do the same thing.
yeah.
I just grab
Well, that
the top
goes to
one.
my other thing. I wrote these things down. I'll try to get through all of them. I know we're kind of running short on time, but focus on fewer things. Because when you have all those stuff in your head and when you have like, just as trying to figure out what to wear, like just give yourself two or three options and go, okay, this is what I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
Instead of just overwhelmingly,
Looking at the entire closet and going, oh my God.
Yeah. We already talked about meal prep. Simplifying. Say no when you really want to. That's
so big.
huge, right?
Yeah.
Because you feel guilty, so you're like, okay, and then you're dreading it all the way. You're not simplifying your life by doing any favors by just going to something or doing something that
And
you
for anybody,
don't feel
yeah.
wholeheartedly into.
If anybody out there, I heard this on a podcast actually, where someone said, if someone asks you to do something and you don't want to do it tomorrow, like literally the next day, the chances of you wanting to do it in a week are slim. So just say no. So in other words, like if you are asked to do something that you're on the border with and you say, so ask yourself this, would I do this tomorrow?
Yeah. No, that's a good thing. I remember when we were young, Mom had a book. It was called Why Say Yes When You Want to Say No. Obviously I was young. I was a kid. I don't remember. I didn't read it or anything, but I thought it was interesting that she had that because I think that was Mom's mindset. Like, I'm going to say yes to everything. And she did take on a lot. If, for being
I must have read it too because I told Mom and Dad no all the time.
No, but she said yes all the time. So she had to buy that book. Another thing is just notice what your body is feeling, because a lot of times we don't pay attention to what we're actually feeling. And maybe even just saying you feel inside that you want to say no to something, but you don't. So really, really pay attention to how you're feeling about something.
Yeah.
No matter what. It doesn't have to be.
Well, and that's where that little grid thing that I just said about if you're wondering, well, how do I know? And then another thing I tell people in coaching and therapy is just remember, anytime you're saying yes, you are saying no to something else. So you're either saying no to family, you're saying no to, what self-care, you're saying no to something else.
So it really is, I think it's just being mindful about what you're actually feeling in yourself for anything, not necessarily to say no. Like it could even just be, I need to get my workout. I need to get my workout in, but you're honestly feeling so fatigued and tired from whatever. Maybe you shouldn't go get your workout in. Maybe
go for a walk.
Yeah. Maybe you just need to take
walk.
that break. I don't know where we are in time. Oh, live below your means. So I think a lot of times we're thinking, well, all my friends that said they needed to get this vacation and they needed to do that. They need to do this. I'm exhausted. I didn't have any downtime. And then we come back to school. I have to prep. And it's like, did you have to do that? Maybe you could have said no to some of those things. Maybe, and the same thing with money. I'm glad we're back to work because we spent all of this. We went into savings for that, and it's like, maybe you shouldn't live beyond your means. Like really, really, you can simplify things to still have a good quality life without overextending.
People often use the 80-10-10 principle, which is save 10, give away 10, and live on 80. And so it's a great way. First of all, 10% is just good for you to recognize that we're only stewarding somebody else's money, or it's really not ours. And then the second thing is it's just good. And in the U.S. at least, you get a tax benefit, but it really shouldn't be done for that reason. It should be done because we're doing it out of generosity. But that's a great principle. 80-10-10 is something that's a great way to live.
Yeah. So.
Did you get him?
I know this may not. This is something I love to do, and I do it a lot in the summertime. I have a very hard time during the school year just because of timing, but I really like when I make the time to do it, is to get outside and ground, put your bare feet on the grass and put your face up to the sunshine. I did it so much this summer, and little Maggie would run around my feet, and I would have my little mushroom coffee, and it was just for 10 minutes. I know they say really beneficial for 30, but
who has 30 minutes?
I know. I don't. I think if you do, I mean, I guess I could have during the summer, but I still had things to do. I wanted to do, but just 10 minutes putting your face in the sun and grounding. And I know that how is that simplifying your life? It really brings you to a place of peacefulness. It really gives you this, I know it sounds silly, but this wholehearted feeling of just like, and so, I encourage anyone to just try it and see how you feel, and then try to make it a priority. It's very hard in the wintertime, but it's such a good feeling.
Our the local weather forecaster, she always ends when it's like done at 7:00. She always says, blah 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 blah, and keep your face toward the sunshine.
Love that.
It's really really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was really it. That was just basically listening to people's chaotic lives, so to speak. And I just thought, okay, we need to just step back, simplify things. And these are a few ways to
as this,
help yourself.
Fall is coming up and everybody, there's a lot of stuff to do, right? There's a lot of people and a lot of things. And so soccer games, not soccer. What's going on right now?
Soccer comes up. Yeah, I know.
Well, football for sure. And But
a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff is coming up. So cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You don't know what that means. Iggy,
you don't know
thank
what
you
that
so much.
means? I know what thank you means. I mean, you're welcome means.
You're a dork. Well, thank you, Iggy.
Thank you, Iggs. I
like Iggy, you can't nod on a podcast, especially when you're not on camera.
My instinct is still to say thank you back, like I'm
at a barista.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Iggy. And thank you, listener. We are at wholehearted_living_podcast on Instagram and Wholehearted Living on YouTube, right? Isn't that what it's called on YouTube? Just Wholehearted Living with Bennie and Patty? Iggy doesn't know.
Bennie and Valerie?
Oh, yeah, Bennie and Valerie. Patty is my wife.
Well, thanks you guys for being here. And if you didn't catch last week's episode, we had a guest on, my friend Rhonda. We had a really good chat with her about how she still lived wholeheartedly while going through the diagnosis of cancer and the treatment and thereafter. And so it's pretty cool if you haven't had a chance to listen to that.
Yeah, it is a good podcast. Yeah. So, well, thank you, Valerie. This was good.
All righty. We'll chat with you next week. Bye.
Ciao.